Boom, coming in hot on a Wednesday, Chinch. How we doing, brother?
We're doing great. We have a special birthday thing. First of all, just so everybody knows, Sean Casey goes to bed at like 6:30 at night. And I get a phone call from him at about 11:15 last night. And what do I say when I answer the phone? I go,
"Are you okay?
I go,
Are you okay?
Is everybody dead?" In contrast, it's a celebration. Happy birthday to who today?
Yeah, Jillian. It's Jillian's 13th birthday. So we're, whenever I find that whenever it's Jillian's birthday, we find a way to celebrate all month. So we'll be celebrating today and probably through April.
Nice. Well, we're celebrating big time today because we have two of our favorite people on who we love having on. This is our very first. It's our 244th episode, I believe, and our first repeat guests. And we're very happy about that.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And here's why. I'm going to show you one thing before we get going here. This picture right there, Sean, was taken by one of our guests today. And it's
an
unbelievable.
Incredible image. Yeah, incredible image taken by Gene Fruth, who obviously we love on this show. And I want to just go really quick to introduce Gene before Gene and Jeff before we get going. First off, they're on because they co-founded Grassroots Baseball in 2019. We talked about that, a few episodes ago. We have to figure out what episode that was, Chinch, where we talked about them going around the country and really diving into the essence of baseball and all the small towns, and the book that she wrote about Grassroots Baseball, Route 66. But Jean's a legend in my eyes. She's been doing this for over 20 years as one of the best photographers this game has ever seen. Ever. And her images are incredible. The greatest thing about Jean, though, is her purpose is a little bigger, right? It's to promote the game. It's to make the game a little bigger. When you get the access that she's had over the years to get the shots that she's gotten, and I know playing in the big leagues for 12 years, playing pro ball for 15 years, when you're around this game, you start to appreciate it at a different level of like the people and the stories. And I think the greatest thing about Jean, she is the most incredible storyteller. There's nothing like seeing images and visions of this game to tell a story. And I think one of the greatest things she's done recently is the WBC. We go look back at how incredible it was for the whole world, this WBC of Ohtani and Trout facing each other at the end, but the Dominicans and Puerto Rico and Mexico and Korea and all these countries coming. Jean caught so many incredible shots. So, we could go down a whole list of Gene, but she's absolutely incredible. The other guy we have on,
he's kind of a big deal too.
He's a big deal too. We got two really big deals on this show today. This guy's been in pro ball over 34 years, probably best known for his time at Cooperstown of really directing traffic. The guy that would introduce all the guys that were elected into Cooperstown for the last. I'm probably messing it up, Jeff, but it feels like the last 20 years, but it's the last 11, 12, 13, 14 years. But you and Gene have gotten together because you both love the game. And, walking around Cooperstown with you, Jeff, and the times you've come to MLB Network to announce the Cooperstown people, your love for the game, your passion for the game, what you feel about the game. I mean, you and Gene couldn't be two better people to continue to grow this incredible game of Major League Baseball, but not only Major League Baseball, baseball for everybody. And what we're going to be talking about today is women in the game, girls in the game. There's 20 girls in college baseball right now. Olivia Pichardo is the first Division I female baseball player ever at Brown University. There's tons of women. There's a few women now managing in the minor leagues. There's women coaches in the big leagues. So, that's my intro for you guys. Let's bring them in. Gene and Jeff, welcome to the mayor's office for the second time. We're so grateful you came on with us. Thank you.
Wow, that's such an intro. Thank you. Man, well, happy birthday, Jillian.
That's right. That's
Fantastic.
right.
And happy birthday to the 244th episode.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So Gene, why don't you start first, with everything that you do, because I think your mission statement of serving communities and through your storytelling and serving, so many people with the photos that you have. Can you take us back really quick, just to the WBC before we get going? Like, what was that like? Was it as incredible as we saw? I mean, you were there on the ground, Chinch and I were watching on TV. Was the energy as incredible as it looked?
It really was. I mean, what a way to start the season, just having this it was such a boost for baseball. It was a boost for the media. I mean, they couldn't stop writing. There were so many great stories, in all of these games, and just watching these players play for country pride and what it meant for them, those stories, and just seeing the passion on the field, the passion in every dugout, and then the passion in the stands. The fans were out of their minds. They were cheering on their team. I mean, every game, everything was on the line. The fans from Mexico were, the most incredible fans. Like, if you
It's like a huge party.
fun,
It's like a huge party, right? It's a huge party.
so much fun. Yeah. It was like, if only I could drink tequila and be able to use it. But that doesn't work out well for me. So
Yeah, right.
but it was just, you felt the energy, you felt how fun it was. And then, of course, that ending. Oh my gosh.
Oh
but
my God.
before the ending, just even when teams were eliminated, when Great Britain, and how nice for them that they were in and they get to be in again, however those rules work, they qualified. The math confuses me always. So
Right.
Great Britain, but at the end, this player hanging his head, and I sent you one of those pictures, and just him taking it all in, like, okay, I did this, I played for my country, this is how it ends, but how it feels. Colombia, there were players who broke down and cried in the dugout, and taking those pictures and them just sitting there watching the other team celebrate. And, we all know how that feels and what failure feels like. And it doesn't feel good, but just taking it in.
Look at this shot, Case.
Moments of, woo.
How about that?
To me, that tells the story. All the Colombian fans watching their players, at the end crying. And to me, the guy who's crying, it's the guy who cares the most. And those are important moments to document. When he looks back at that and he's 80 years old and he looks at that picture and he's like, yeah, that meant everything to me. And those are the most passionate. You see it on every level of baseball. You see it when you play your last high school game and you're going on to college, but you're not going to be playing college baseball, or it's your last college game, or it's your last minor league game, or it's your last major league game. And
Right.
So those moments are important. And then, of course, Ohtani pitches to Trout.
Right. Yeah. What was that like for you? Like, because I know for us watching, but you're there, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna capture something that is storybook. Really, they couldn't have scripted up any better. Ohtani facing Trout. Where were you? Where was your shot? And what were you feeling at that moment when you saw this is actually going to happen with 2 outs in the 9th?
In the 8th inning, where I was not in position and in total panic. I realized it's the 8th inning, and I'm like, wait a minute. Ohtani is going to come out and pitch. That's going to happen. If that happens and I'm here, it's not going to be good.
Wow.
So I book, and I have to go up the concourse, back, never mind about the logistics, but I need to get somewhere behind home plate or close to it to make a picture of this happening, because this is how it's going to end, right? So I am booking and running, trying to figure out and traversing through an unbelievable amount of fans to try to get into the spot. But it was good that I did, because if I didn't, and then you're not in position, and then it does happen, you don't live that, you don't sleep well. So sure enough, I did get in position, and then here he comes. I'm like, okay, there he is. He's coming out. It is Ohtani. This is incredible, absolutely incredible. And then Trout coming up. I'm like, it's just absolutely crazy. So then getting Trout and Ohtani and making all of those pictures, and then the celebration at the end, and the emotion that Ohtani was showing, seeing that. I've shot him before, and I've never seen that kind of emotion come out of him. But it's the same thing. Playing for country pride is different. Playing for your country, having your country on your back, it's big. So watching him celebrate at the end, just incredible. And then that first shot that you showed, and I'll stop talking because I'm taking it up and Jeff's probably falling.
No, this is great.
Watching the whole team gather around, and they're in this, group, and they're jumping up and down, and they're all excited, and I'm shooting it, wondering like what's happening. And then out of the middle shoots the manager, just flying up. And I'm like shocked. I didn't see it coming, but luckily I was on and I grabbed it as he went flying in the air. And it even took me a minute to know like what's happening and who is that? And that's the thing too. It's the culture of the game that these games showed, and that's what they do in Japan. They throw the manager up in the air, and I wasn't thinking about it. I really wasn't anticipating it, to be honest with you. I was just on the crowd, and then luckily for me, I've got cameras that are fast enough and grabbed it. And then made the picture, and I couldn't have been more happy to have like that, because it's something that doesn't happen. Though now I know that you did throw Leyland up in the air in 2000.
Well, we didn't throw him up in the air. He would have probably killed us if we did, but we got him on his shoulders. We were waiting for him to light up a heater, but he didn't have time. So we we walked him off in 2006, which is pretty cool. Gene, I got one more quick question, because this is mind blowing, the stuff that you do. When you get all these incredible pictures, because there were so many great moments in the WBC this year, I think from every country. You talked about Colombia, you talked about Japan, you talked about that moment with Trout and Ohtani. How do you go through, like we talked about editing things before, how do you have all these shots? Do you have people that work for you that help you go through these pictures and find the best ones?
Yeah, you have to edit yourself. I mean, and Rich can tell you this. I mean, because you're doing the show or you're doing the whatever it is, you got to do your own edit, because you know where the gems are. You can find them pretty fast. Still photos, I can edit. Video, I'd be out of my mind. Video is a whole other beast that I'm afraid of for editing. But for still photos, yeah, I can go through, and I know when I'm shooting, I also tag. I have a voice tag, so I can hit it and I can go back to them pretty quickly. And you're moving fast, so you hope you got what you think you got, and sometimes you got something better, and sometimes you didn't get it. But the edits, it's fun, and I do the edits right away. I'm sending also while I'm shooting, just quickly, and then that night I have to do the edit. I get my edit done really fast.
I'm the same way with that kind of thing. Like, just get it there. It's in your head. Get it out of my head and onto wherever I want to put it, right? Yeah.
And it's fun and it's fresh. And when something like that, it's a pleasure to edit, because you're just so excited about being able, you're just grateful to be a part of that and be able to document something like that.
That's so great. That's so great. Well, I want to push the needle here, with one of the biggest reasons that we're here. And let's bring in Jeff for this. Jeff, you guys have been doing this. You and Gene have been doing this Grassroots Baseball since 2019. And this next initiative is really pushing the women in baseball. It looks like on International Women's Day, you guys announced a 3-year initiative to promote the past, present, and future of women's baseball on and off the field and around the globe, which I think is pretty impressive. You guys will travel to Canada, Cuba, Dominican, Japan, Korea, Uganda, and in Europe. I mean, I think they're absolutely phenomenal. For you, Jeff, being around the game the way you've been around it, man, and the way you've seen the game, you've seen the greatest players. You've been in the game for a long time, but you've had a chance to really be up close, personal with the greatest group of men, and I think the greatest organization and club, if you would, the one percenters in any major league sport out there at Cooperstown. So what does this mean to you when you start to see women really starting to have a presence finally in 2023 in Major League Baseball and just baseball in general?
It's great, Case. And as you said, finally in 2023, and which is true, it's taken a long, long time. But the good news is that finally there's been some acceptance in baseball, and you're really starting to see the paradigm change and some real significant input, not token, but significant input from women in the game. And you have a couple of minor league managers, Rachel Balkovec, who was at Tampa last year and again this year, and then Jamie Galanek, who's up in Oregon with the Hops. And then you've got women who are in the minor leagues as hitting coaches, strength coaches, development coaches, strength and conditioning coaches. So you're really starting to see an impact in more than in token ways. And it's really refreshing. Umpires. So it's just a matter of time before you start to see a little bit more of that in the major league game, I believe. And one day there could be a player, as we talked about. There's almost 20 who have played on college men's teams over the last couple of years, and the ceiling is open. There's opportunity, which is great to see.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, having 2 daughters myself, you hope that, hey, if they love baseball, you can continue to play baseball. I mean, in years past, it's been if girls love baseball, they have to start playing softball. I think this is, incredible that women are starting to, really push the needle here. You talked about, I'm interested always in in the thoughts of, especially for you, Jeff, of the historian of the game. You've been in the game a long time. You know, when do you think we'll see a woman in baseball at some point? And if we do, what position do you think we'll see her?
Well, you probably could answer that better, but I would think, first of all, yes, I do think you'll see women in baseball. I don't know how much it'll how much you'll see in terms of how many, but absolutely you will. There's just too many really, really good female baseball players not to be there. You think of a Kelsey Whitmore who's pushing the envelope, and Kellyanne Jenkins, who pitched at Chatham University in Pittsburgh for 4 years. And the USA is ranked 4th in the world in terms of women's baseball, and it's just a matter of time. I think probably you're looking at a middle infield, maybe a second baseman, an outfielder, possibly, but it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I think you're going to see one on the mound for some reason. I don't know if it's a good knuckleball or something that's a little different, or just a good changeup where I don't know. It just. I for some reason, I think the mound might be a place that you might end up seeing a female, in the big leagues.
And we're learning that, Sean, with the women who are playing today, the folks that Gene's interviewed for our Grassroots Baseball series. Kellyanne Jenkins, same thing. Her dad taught her knuckleball early. Eri Yoshida watched Tim Wakefield. Kellyanne was into, she was into an R.A. Dickey and followed him. So, the knuckleball is important for them, and it certainly helps them on the mound.
Yeah. Gene, what about you, getting a chance to sit down with some of these women and talk to them? Can you just tell us about the love of the game that they have, and what are some of the themes that continue to come up when you're talking to these women?
Yeah, it's with Grassroots Baseball, first doing Route 66 and having, highlighting kids, highlighting all these different parts of the amateur game, highlighting the international game, and now, focusing to women, it's another part of the game, it's just highlighting now just important part of the game. It's like, what else was part of this incredible baseball game? Right. It's Alyssa Nacken, and look at what she's doing, and these women playing college ball and an all-women college club team. And I photographed the first all-women college club championships last year, and went back this year, and they had their second championship in Compton, California. And they're just making inroads in all these different ways. And it doesn't need to go in one direction for it to be successful. It's successful just because it's happening. It's happening on all these different levels. It doesn't need to get there. There's not, we need to have a woman in Major League Baseball for women to be successful in baseball. No, the success is happening, right now. Baseball for All is this incredible organization based out of actually California. And they have girls playing on every level of baseball. Are they international as well, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yes. And they have how many girls in the program? They have everywhere from 8-year-olds up to 20-year-olds.
Wow.
Right. And to take Gene's point, Sean, that what Baseball for All is doing is great. So they've got this 8 to 18 group that's maybe 1,000 will play in their national tournament in Kentucky in July. Now they've begun this collegiate championships, the college club championships, to try to grow the college level. And when you look at the international side, Sean, there is way room for growth. Japan, Australia, it is so far advanced women's baseball compared to the United States.
Really?
Women are playing the year round, junior high school. And that's why Japan's number 1 in the world in baseball for women's baseball. Taipei's 2nd, Canada's 3, and US is 4. But there's a model out there, and Baseball for All is trying to get some of that going. And, if the interest is there, which we think there is, and it makes sense for a girl who's getting out of high school, is going to get a scholarship for softball. It's expensive to go to college. And if you can get a softball scholarship, that's wonderful. But these girls, there's so many of them that would rather play baseball. And if we can start to build that, I think you'll see the game grow in the United States.
Yeah, and the iron is hot right now. You just witnessed one of the greatest international sporting events that I've personally ever seen. And I've worked in this industry for years. So you guys are hitting this right at the perfect time, I feel like.
It really is. And it gets when an event like that happens, everybody is excited about baseball. Everybody's talking about it. When I was at the college, women's college club championships, they were all asking me about the WBC. They were excited about it. So they were excited to be there playing baseball. Cal Berkeley brought a women's team and came and played college club baseball. And it was just so cool to see. And what Jeff is saying about these other countries, this is not women playing on men's teams. Japan has all women teams, from little league up to high school and college and professional women's baseball. So that, eventually could happen. It's going to take time. There's no time limit. It's just an evolution, and it's just so cool. We started with the AAGPBL, right? The All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. And those women during World War II, our baseball players from Major League Baseball went off to war, and they wanted to keep baseball going. So they found women softball players, and Mr. Wrigley turned them into women baseball players. And then the AAGPBL was formed, and those women are still around. I did a few interviews with them. One of them, there's a connection to you, Casey, but Lois Youngin. Well, Jeff, I'll let you talk about Lois because you can. But Lois played in the AAGPBL, very successful catcher. She caught a no-hitter, a perfect game. I'm sorry. So Jeff, I'll let you take over with Lois.
Wow.
Yeah, Lois grew up in Ohio, Case, and she caught Gene Fout's second perfect game. She threw 2, believe it or not. And she went to Kent State, where I know you and your boys are playing.
Yeah, my son. No way. Get out of here. That's great.
Yeah, she obviously didn't play there, but she went to Kent State, and then you want to talk, and she used her AAGPBL career, which was 5 seasons, to pay for Kent State. So that's what she used her money for. She would, she was doing both, and from there she went to get a master's at Michigan State and then a PhD at Ohio State, and then ushered in Title IX at the University of Oregon for 36 years, where she worked in athletics. So she continued to give back and try to promote getting women involved in the game.
Wow, that's incredible. That's it. Now, was that a league of their own? Obviously, was that league?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those women, Lois, Maybelle Blair, these women, that was what the movie was based on. And thanks to Penny Marshall creating that movie, A League of Their Own, it brought so much attention to women baseball. So Penny Marshall did a great thing by this movie being so successful. And then these women who are still around, some of them, how old is Lois?
Lois is 90.
90.
Wow.
She had so much energy. Every time I asked her, do you want to take a break? She said, no, I want to keep going. She had a people came after her. I was exhausted, and she kept moving. She was just unbelievable. And so, these women, they were trailblazers. It was a different kind of baseball, obviously, but you start somewhere. And so that was a great beginning, for women in baseball. Now we fast forward and we have women at every facet of the game, managing, executives, head groundskeepers. It doesn't matter. Whatever their interest is in baseball, there's a path for them. The path may not be easy, but it's there and it's more accessible, and it's, it's ready more than ever before in history.
Wow, that's incredible. That is incredible.
John, one other note on Lois, and then I'll shut up. But she played.
I love it.
She played for 2 Hall of Famers when she was in the AAGPBL. She played for Max Carey, who played in the 30s and 40s, and then she played for Jimmy Fox the year after he gets into Cooperstown. Okay, can you imagine this? He gets into Cooperstown and then goes and manages this AAGPBL team. And I'm like, what was he like? She goes, he was always a gentleman. He coached at first base and he managed us. And she goes, we even convinced him a couple times to take BP. She said, I threw BP to him once and he hit one that's went like 800 feet. She's like, I've never seen a ball.
Oh, man.
So great. Oh, that's so great. That's so great. Your big thing for this year, man, you guys could probably help us. You are you have traveled internationally, or you're about to travel internationally. And where do you think, you talked about the game being so big in Japan. I just think that's incredible too, because talk about growing the game. You go back and look at the ratings for that final WBC, it was like 97.4% of the households in Japan were watching that game. And you'd have to think that females having such a big, interest in baseball brings that interest to households, that it just ups the visibility of the game. I mean, right? Am I correct by saying that?
For everybody. I mean, I think little kids going out and saying, I want to try to play Little League. I want to go out in the spring and go play baseball now. I mean, it makes everybody aware of baseball. It was such a fun, form of baseball. And really just brought the passion back into it. Every game was fun to watch. Every game looked fun to play. So yeah, and it's a good time for us. We're going to be heading to Canada. There's the Women's Baseball Classic. Is it qualifiers, Jeff?
It's the World Cup qualifiers.
World Cup qualifiers for women. So Canada has a bunch of, they're hosting a bunch of countries. Women will be coming, and then Japan will also have one. So that'll probably be our first stops. We have boots on the ground in a lot of different countries where we're finding the stories of different women playing, different teams playing. So it has to be a 3-year project, because the international component for this is important. Because like you say, when people see what's happening in Japan and they see Colombia on the field and they see all these different, it's more interesting to know what's happening around the world. So it's going to take us time, but what else do we have to do?
I have one thing to add, Case, if you don't mind.
Please.
For those of you who have not seen a lot of what Gene's done yet, go do it right now, because I will tell you guys right now, whenever somebody walks into my house and sits down in my living room, the first thing they do is pick up your last book, and they literally go page for page and do not stand up until they've flipped through the entire thing. I mean, the way you tell the way you guys have collaborated to tell stories through images is one of the coolest things I've seen. It's almost like a video diary through photography. So I just want to thank you for that, because again, it's keep some of my relatives away during the holidays so they can sit in there and read it.
Can help with that.
That's very kind of you, but it's about the stories, isn't it? I mean, Casey, everybody wants to hear stories. And that's what's interesting. And then they want to share their stories. And I never tire of hearing their stories. They look at a picture, it tells a story, and then it brings some memory up of their first game, their first autograph, the first time they went to a game with their dad. I mean, that's what baseball is about. Yeah. It's stories.
I was literally speaking of Kent State, I drove up last night to see my son play at Ohio State. Ohio State played Kent State. And I had a couple people, because it's, Ohio State, there are a lot of Reds fans too. So a couple people did come up to me and, hey, how you doing? And this one guy came up and he's like, hey, listen, my name's Fred. My son is, turns out his son was one of the clubbies for Kent State. And he brings out a picture of me and his son back when I was doing in 2015, when I came back for the celebrity softball game. But they were talking about how they were big Reds fans, and I must have talked to 4 or 5 people last night, and it was stories. It was stories about their kids. It was stories about, I used to play the game. I never played at the pro level, but I wish one guy told me, hey, I played Division I baseball. I wish I would have worked harder. I wish I would have known now what I know then, what I know now. And I just think that's incredible. And it was, like I said, it was funny. I had a couple people bring pictures up to me. Now, it was their pictures on their iPhone, not Gene shooting these with these incredible lenses and doing the things that you do. But I just think that it is. I'm sure you have about a couple houses in those lenses. I think it's incredible. I just think it's incredible. You're right. The work that you do, Gene, to tell these stories through your photography is that's what we want. We want the stories. We want the stories,
Want the stories.
Yeah. So Jeff, for you, when you look at this next, this project for you guys, what are you most interested in? What are you most excited about?
What I'm most excited about is giving these girls and women a voice and a platform, because the talent is there. And as Gene said, it's not just on the field; it's off the field in a big way also. And it's in the locker rooms. It's everywhere. And if we can, by showing what's going on internationally, in addition to what's going on in this country, we'll have done a service, I think, because we can really learn. Sean, it's incredible. I remember we went to Japan. I went to Japan with the Hall of Fame when the Mets and Blue Jays played there in an exhibition game in 2000 to open the season. And, I turned on TV in the morning, and the high school championships are going on national television. And all of August is national championships for middle school, high school, college, and club for women and men, both girls and boys. And
Wow.
we can learn from that. And if we can give some exposure to that and really show that there is avenues, there are ways you can get there, that's what our goal is.
Wow.
And to just add to that, I interviewed a longtime woman umpire, Perry Barber. And during the interview, Perry said, you know, what's important to her is like to give back and to show these young girls that they can do it too. And I use her line. I don't even give her credit half the time, but I'm going to give her credit now. But she said, if you can see it, you can be it. And I love that. So that's what. So we want to show it so these girls can see. If you can see it, you can be it. So you see a girl baseball player, you see a girl playing minor league baseball, whatever. You see an executive like in Miami, look, at the highest level, you know, on a team. You see somebody managing a team, a president of a team. If you can see it, you can be it.
That's great.
That is great. That is the truth. Well, if you can see it, you can be it. And I tell you what, you know, getting a chance to see, we're so excited. You know, Chinch and I are excited to see how this project goes, especially moving forward here in 2023 as you guys get to Canada and all these other places internationally. And for all of us to see your pictures, Gene, and see your storytelling, and for you and Jeff to really keep pushing women in baseball and from the ground up, you know, from Little League on, and continue to get leagues and continue to maybe, like you were saying, Jeff, learn from, you know, what they are doing in Japan and the success that they've had and how amazing this WBC was. To, like Chinch said, the iron's hot. You know, let's strike now because baseball is at a great place. So, Gene and Jeff, we can't thank you guys enough for coming on with us again. This has been absolutely wonderful. We'll be following you guys, and we're looking forward to having you guys on again at some point and with your next project and the next great things you're doing for this wonderful game of baseball.
Oh, so kind of you. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Jillian.
Yes.
Thank you both. Happy birthday, Jillian.
Thank you. All right, thank you guys, and good luck. We can't wait to see what becomes of this season, and we'll see you guys soon.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you.